Okay, tonight is Matthew chapter 8.
When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper, and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And Jesus put forth his hand, and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus saith unto him, See thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them.
Okay, so as chapter 8 begins, it says that Jesus comes down from the mountain. Okay, and the multitudes followed him. Now, in chapters 5, 6, and 7, it was a Sermon on the Mount, so he was on the mountain giving that sermon, and now he's come down from there, and it says many followed him, so you would assume some of the people who were listening, they just liked what they heard, so they wanted to see what Jesus was going to do next, so they were following him down the mountain, right? And they get to witness something interesting happen here right off the bat. Right, in verse 2 it says, Behold, a leper came and said, Lord, if thou wilt, thou can make me clean. Right? Now you know what leprosy is, right? It's like a skin disease. It breaks out in sores, or it looks kind of white at times, and so it was very obvious when this was going on, and it was also very contagious. So that was really the biggest issue, is that when you had leprosy at the time, they typically sent you to a leper's colony where you had to live among other people who had leprosy. So you weren't allowed to interact with other people, because otherwise you'd spread it to everybody. So that was kind of the rule that they made up, that you had to stay quarantined, if you will, just among other lepers, and so that's why you wouldn't spread it around. Right? So here, and you know, and also he says, you know, you can make me clean. Right? It was some stigma attached to it. I mean, even though you'd say, well, it's a disease, so I mean, why should you be ashamed of having a disease? But yet there was some stigma to it, like you were somehow unclean by having that disease, and so, you know, and the whole bit of, you know, ostracizing them and pushing them aside kind of added to that, right? The idea that, you know, you're not even, you shouldn't even be around us, kind of thing. So here the leper comes to Jesus and says, you know, I have faith, and I know you can do this. You can make me clean, right? So as you see in 3, it says Jesus before his hand touched him, saying, I will be clean, and immediately leprosy is gone. So that's an amazing display for the people who were there following Jesus to watch this happen, and because it was a visible thing. You know, so sometimes, you know, today we pray for people who have various diseases. Okay, so if somebody has cancer, you know, and we pray for them, if God heals them at that moment, I mean, you don't really see anything different. I mean, they still look the same until they're checked out further, and then you find out that, you know, changes happen. But here the leprosy was visible, so immediately it cleared up and it was gone. So now everybody saw that Jesus healed this person immediately. Okay, now in verse 4, now it says, Jesus says, See thou tell no man. Right, but now he gives him further instructions. As we've said other times, I mean, the primary purpose for Jesus being there was not to heal the sick, right? I mean, he did it to show, because he loved the people, because he wanted to demonstrate what his power was, but he's there to preach the gospel. I mean, what you heard in chapters 5, 6, and 7, that's what he was there for, to share the gospel and tell people how they could get salvation, how they could be saved. So that was his main thing. Now, if word gets out, hey, this guy can heal leprosy, right? As was said, the whole leper colony will be coming over and you know, tracking him down, and so he'll be there. You know, they'll be spending all his time healing the sick, and that wasn't the idea, that he would spend all of his time doing that, and that wasn't what he wanted to be known for right now. He wanted to be known as somebody who had the true gospel. That's why he said, you know, just keep it to yourself. This is going to be a blessing for you. Recognizes your faith, you know, because he came and said, I know you can do this, and so he recognized his faith, and he healed him. All right, so he says, so don't go tell people, but he says, go thy way and show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. Now, before I reference the exact thing, we'll say, yeah, in general, right, the way they did it, you're supposed to live in the leper's colony when you had leprosy. So if you were claiming to be healed, you had to go show yourself to the priest, and the priest was the one kind of in charge of the whole thing, and so he would look and say, okay, yep, you're good to go. So he stamps your book or whatever, and away you go. You're able to go. So without that, you can't re-enter society. So he gives you the go-ahead. right? So that's what he's being told to do. Go show yourself to the priest, this way you can come back into society. Right now, the gift that he's referring to, or actually there's multiple gifts, but it's described in Leviticus chapter 14, right, is where it says what to do when you're healed of leprosy. And so I'll just read it to you quick, and like I said, not that I'm expecting anybody to memorize this, all right? So it says, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, this shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper, then shall the priest command to take for him that is to be cleansed 2 birds, alive and clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command that one of the birds be killed in an earthen vessel over running water. As for the living bird, he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water, and he shall sprinkle upon him that is to be cleansed from the leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird loose into the open field. Okay, so it was a whole ritual with 2 birds, right? You kill one bird, you sprinkle stuff in there with the blood and so forth, and that goes over the other one, and then the other one is let go free, and so it's a whole ritual about being cleansed and being set free into society. Okay, now this was from the law of Moses, all right. So this was the kind of things that the law of Moses consisted of, right? That there was a whole set of steps and rituals and so forth when different things had to happen. So you can perhaps appreciate the simplification that Jesus brings to the picture, right? Where he says basically, you're healed and you're healed and then it's done, right? You don't need dead birds or blood sprinkled over you or anything. It's done. Jesus says the word and you're healed. So, but at the time they were still under the law of Moses, all right, because Jesus hadn't been crucified or resurrected yet, so that they were still operating the law of Moses. That's why he says this kind of, okay, you're healed, but now go to the priest and do the thing with the birds and do what you have to do. This way you can be okay to go back into society.
And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus saith unto him, I will come and heal him.
This is the beginning of another account. Okay, of course, a little more to be read in this particular story, but it says that Jesus is now into the city of Capernaum, right? And now he encounters a centurion. Now, do you know what a centurion is? Yeah, the centurion is a Roman officer, so a Roman leader of the military. Typically, it was a leader of like 100 men. Therefore, the centurion, the title, right? But yeah, it was basically a Roman leader in the Roman army. So therefore, not Jewish, okay, not of Israel, but a Gentile, right? And so, at the time it was very much of a Jew versus Gentile kind of a mentality, that the Jews were the chosen people, and the Gentiles were not, right? That they were the outsiders. So just the fact that the centurion would come and speak to Jesus, that was a little unusual, because it was typically the Jews stay with the Jews and the Gentiles stay with the Gentiles. So, but yet the centurion comes and says, hey, look, as you can see, it says, my servant is home, sick of the palsy, grievously tormented, and so he's looking for Jesus to do something, right? You would assume the word got to him, perhaps the word of the leprosy person or whoever, he's hearing these things, this guy's a healer, so hey, I got my poor servant is sick with the palsy, and so Jesus just offers it right up. See, like he didn't even ask him, at least in this account, is that Jesus just said, I'll come and heal him. So he's telling him about this sick servant, and he said, I'll come and heal him.
The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldst come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel.
When Jesus says, I'll come to your house and heal your servant, right? Well, the centurion is not necessarily expecting that, or maybe not even wanting that. Or he says, I'm not worthy that you should come under my roof, right? So you can see he's looking up to him as a man of God, right? And saying, I'm not worthy that you should come to my house. He says, just say the word. That's how much faith he had. You don't have to come. You don't have to see him. You don't have to, put your hands on him. just say the word and he'll be made well. That's why he says, speak the word only and my servant will be healed. And the example that he gives, though, is that as a military leader, as you see in 9, he says, I'm a man under authority, having soldiers under me, so I tell them to do things, and they do them, right? That's what he's saying in verse 9. He says, I say to this man, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it. So, in other words, I'm in charge, I'm the master, I speak, and they listen. So now as he's recognizing Jesus, he says, you're in charge here. So with this disease, if you say the word, if you tell the disease go away, it's going to go away. So that's how much faith he had in him. So that really, I mean, that's even more than recognizing him as a man of God. It's not saying, say a prayer and we'll see what happens. He's saying, I know if you tell that disease, get lost, it's going. So just say the word and it's going to happen. So when Jesus hears this in 10, as you can see, when Jesus heard it, he said, whoa. He says to everybody else, I haven't heard anybody with this much faith, not in Israel at all. Right? And that's why I mentioned about, he's talking about the people of Israel, the Israelites or the Jews, that he says, I haven't seen anybody among Israel people with this kind of faith. And here's somebody who's a Gentile who the Jews would look down their nose at them, say that they're not godly and they're the heathen and so forth, and yet here's somebody who's a Roman coming with this kind of faith, saying to Jesus, I know if you just say the words, the disease, it'll just depart, just like that.
And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self same hour.
Right. So as he's saying about how much faith he has, recognizing the man's faith, he goes even a step further. In 11, it says, I say unto you, many will come from the east and west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Right. And now Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that would be your patriarchs of the house of Israel. So what that's telling you is that those of the house of Israel, they figure heaven is our place, right? The Gentiles are the heathen, so they're not going there. That's for us. So Jesus is saying, you know what? There's going to be people coming from all over that are going to wind up in the kingdom of heaven with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he's talking about people like this Roman guy. If they have this kind of faith, they're going to be on their way there too. And on the flip side, it says in 12, there's going to be children of the kingdom, which means those of Israel, that are going to be cast into outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. In other words, it's not just if you're a Jew, you're in heaven, and if you're not, you're out. But rather there'll be a mixture. It's more an individual thing. It's based on your own faith, your own relationship with God. There'll be a mixture of people in heaven and a mixture of people not in heaven. So that if you think because you're a Jew, you're getting it automatically, it says don't think that way, because there'll be children of the kingdom cast out into outer darkness with weeping and gnashing of teeth. All right, so he's explaining them, and it's an individual choice. It's an individual arrangement between you and God. And again, it's good to know that, because you would hate to think that, well, because I was born in the wrong family or with the wrong last name, that I have no chance to get to the kingdom of heaven. That wouldn't be a good arrangement. So he's saying that it's based on yourself, not who your family is or your ancestors are. Okay, and so having given that little speech then, so now in 13 he says to the centurion, go thy way, as thou hast believed, so is it done unto thee. And the servant was healed in that very hour. All right, so he recognized his faith and said, you know what, you said you believed that I could say the word and your servant would be healed. Okay, then I'm going to say the word, and to the extent that you believed, it's going to happen exactly that way, and that's exactly what happened. Then when he got back, he found that his servant was healed.
And when Jesus was come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and ministered unto them. When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, Himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses.
All right, so in these 4 verses, there's 2 different stories, if you will. Okay, 14 and 15 being the first one, right? And it's it's a simple enough thing, but this was worth recording by Matthew. It says when Jesus came to Peter's house. His mother-in-law was there, his wife's mother, was sick of a fever, right? So she was sick in bed. Maybe she had the flu or something, okay? So she was sick in bed, she had a fever. It says, and he went and touched her hand, and the fever left her. It says that, and he throws in that she arose and ministered unto them. In other words, she got up and probably made dinner, right? So therefore, they all witnessed to just that simply what he could do. Like I say, it just says she was sick of a fever, so it's not saying she had leprosy or was dying. It was just that she was sick. She didn't feel good. Jesus touched her with his hand, and the fever left, and she was able to get up as if nothing was wrong. Okay, so that was one demonstration, and so therefore, Peter would have seen that, and whoever of the disciples were with him would have seen that this is what he can do. Right, and then in 16 and 17, all right, it says that the word is starting to get around apparently, because it says in 16, when the evening was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils. It says he cast out the spirit with his word and healed all that were sick. Right? So now people are showing up with all kinds of different issues, right? People who were possessed, people who were sick of different illnesses, right? And whatever the situation was, he just took care of each one. It says he cast out the spirits with his word, healed those that were sick, that it might be fulfilled even by the prophecy that's mentioned here from Isaiah, which it says, himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses. As we've said other times, whenever a prophecy was fulfilled as they were writing in the Gospels, they like to point it out because they were trying to make the point that Jesus was the Messiah, Jesus was the Son of God, he was the one foretold by the prophets. So when something happened that lined up with that, they threw that in. See, it shows what, like I said, and the prophets said this, and this is what happened, and it goes right along with what the prophet said.
Now when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to depart unto the other side. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Jesus saith unto him, The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. But Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead.
Again, this is kind of two conversations, right? But the same time frame. Right? It says that now when Jesus was ready to go to a different place now, so he's going to move go to the other side. They were going to in fact take some ships and go across the sea to the other side of the sea. Right? So probably saying, okay, who's coming? Which of all these followers now that people follow him down the mountain, they're following him around, watching him do the healings. So he had like quite a following, right? And people are just kind of following him around to see what he's doing. So now I'm going to go across the sea here, and so this one scribe comes in 19 says, he makes this bold statement. He said, you know what, Master, I'm going to follow you wherever you go. All right, wherever you go, I'm going to follow you all around, and so kind of proclaiming his allegiance here, right? I'm going to follow you wherever you go. And now all Jesus is saying in 20, he's saying, understand what you're saying when you say that, right? And the same can be said for any of us. Right? If we say we're going to follow Jesus and follow him wherever he goes, we have that song, right? If Jesus goes with me, I'll go anywhere. All right. So the point is, do we mean it when we're saying that? Do we understand that at times maybe it's not going to be an easy thing? Right? Because it says in 20, it says, you know what? The foxes have holes. In other words, they have a place that they sleep. The birds have their nests. But the Son of Man, which is him, I don't even have a place to sleep. I don't have a home right now. So basically they're sleeping on ships or on the ground or whatever. So do you understand what you're saying? If you're going to follow me wherever you go, don't think I'm going to the fancy hotel and then you're going to get yourself a room, all right? If you're going to follow me, it means you're going to be sleeping wherever, and I don't have a place to live. I don't have a place to put you up. You're just going to follow me and do the kind of things that I'm doing, which understand it's not going to be might not be that easy all the time. Okay, so again, it's a good little lesson for us that we say we're going to follow Jesus. Understand at times it might be difficult, but we're signing on for that, and so if we're going to follow through, then we go where Jesus takes us. Okay, now 21 and 22 is like I say, little different things. Is another of his disciples said, before we go, my father just died. Right, so I'm going to go and attend to the funeral and so forth. Now when you think about it this way, I mean, most of us today, obviously, if a loved one dies, you you do what you got to do, right? Obviously you want to take care of a funeral, you want to show respect to your loved one and so forth. But Jesus answered in a way that if somebody today answered this way, you would think it's very disrespectful. I'll say, he says, let the dead, or follow me and let the dead bury their dead. In other words, don't worry about that. Just follow me and leave the dead to take care of burying the dead people. The point being that Jesus is here right now, right? And he's gonna depart. So so if you stay back to take care of anything else, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss out, right? Because he's gonna go, and you're gonna have missed out on the most important thing that you could have done, all right? And so I would say if we tried to equate it at all to our own lives, I mean, see, we can't totally equate it because the Lord is there all the time, right? So we could we can accept Jesus today, or if God gives us life, we can accept Him tomorrow or next week, and that's okay. But suppose Jesus appeared right now and said, "This is it. This is your only chance, all right? Either you come with me now or never." All right, so to say, well, wait, I got other things to do. Well, then that's not a very wise answer, right? Because now you're going to miss out completely. So that's the way I've always took it, is that was his one chance. So if you miss me now, you miss me forever. So could just let the dead bury their dead. In other words, the ones who are not going to follow me, you can refer to them as the dead. Let them take care of that kind of stuff. You don't want to miss out on this. You want to make sure you come with me now.
And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he saith unto them, Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?
The disciples enter into a ship, and Jesus is with them, and as they're traveling, it says a great tempest arise in the sea, right? So you got wind and waves, and the ship is rocking around, and it looks like it may tip over, right? So it says this much the ship was covered with the waves, all right? So the water was coming over the top into the ship, but yet Jesus is asleep somewhere in the bottom of the ship. Right, so the disciples are, and this is described in other gospels too in other detail, but the disciples come and said, Lord, wake up, we're going to die here, the ship's about to go over, the tempest is going to consume the ship, and here you're asleep. What's up with that? All right, wake up and save us. And so then Jesus answers in 26, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? And then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. Right, and of course in 27 their reactions, they marvel, saying, wow, what kind of guy is this? Even the wind and the sea obey him. All right. But now in 26 he says, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? And Jesus is saying, I'm telling you who I am, that I'm here for a certain mission. I'm here to do these things. What would make you even think that the ship's going to go down while I'm on it? All right, it's not going to happen. And then furthermore, you've seen what I can do with these different miracles and healings I've done. So why should you be afraid? I told you that we are going to do this. He called them to be his disciples. So we're going to do something. So how could the ship go down? If you really believed, then you wouldn't have the least fear, because it's going to work out. And so, and then he goes in and shows them, you want to see what I can do? Watch this, all right? And he rebukes the wind and the waves, and they settle down. And then they're like, whoa, they witnessed that, and that would be very impressive, right? Because again, it's a very visible miracle done right in front of their eyes. So, but yet he's saying that this is the kind of faith I want you to have, to know that if we're on board the ship together, you're protected. You're protected. And so, again, it's a good lesson for us. If we're on board with Jesus, then we can have faith that the Lord is with us and that things are going to work out the way he wants them to.
And when he was come to the other side, into the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? And there was a good way off from them a herd of many swine feeding. So the devils besought him, saying, If thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine.
When they get to the other side, right, because remember they got the ships, the The ship was saved in the tempest. It gets to the other side. So the other side is saying it's the country of the Gergesenes, right? And they says they met two possessed with devils. And we mentioned earlier that that there were those who were possessed were brought to him that night. But here's two guys, I guess in broad daylight, all right? That they're possessed with devils. And as you can see, this is they're coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, that no man might pass by that way. So I mean, they're living amongst the dead, right? Amongst the tombs, which it's kind of icky if you think about it, all right? So that's where they hang out, and then they come out. Maybe people are coming down. They're going to go visit the dead, and then they're like blocking them, and they're fierce, and they're just troublesome, right? Because they're possessed with devils. And so it's not saying that they're like they're possessed. It says they are possessed, all right? They're possessed with devils. So now in 29 it says they cried out. And this is not the men crying out, this is the devils within them crying out, all right, to Jesus when he comes. He says, what have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Or they'll come to torment us before the time. These are devils that know what's going to be happening, right? They recognize Jesus as the Son of God, and they know that when he does what he came to do, which is to be crucified and resurrect, that the devils are defeated. All right, so it says, are you coming to torment us before it's even time that we'll be tormented? They know that they're going to be tormented, but you're coming to do it early, right? So, as we see what they're going to ask here, right, in 30 and 31, it says that the devil say, hey, if you're going to cast us out of these two guys, do us a favor, send us into those pigs over there, send us to the swine, all right? And now, it makes you wonder, though, what the alternative was, all right? That perhaps there was some place where the evil spirits would get sent to otherwise, because they're asking, put us in the swine, so that to me would be as an alternative to what, right? So that there must be some place where the evil spirits got banished to when he cast them out of there. Maybe there's some prison for evil spirits or something, right? That he would send them to. So they're saying, don't do that to us. Send us into the swine instead, right? That's what they're asking. Somebody there, right? Asking do them a favor, as funny as that may sound, right? But they're saying that they would prefer that to wherever else he was going to banish them to.
And he said unto them, Go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine, and behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea, and perished in the waters. And they that kept them fled, and went their ways into the city, and told everything, and what was befallen to the possessed of the devils. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Jesus. And when they saw him, they besought him that he would depart out of their coasts.
After this request from these devils, Jesus basically did what they asked, all right? He says in 32, he said unto them, Go, all right? So he sent them out of the two men into the swine that were there, right? And says, so they went into the herd of swine, and as soon as the swine got possessed, and now they went crazy. You can see it says they ran violently down the hill into the sea, and they drowned. So they all went down and they drowned in the water. Now, again, I'm following up on the earlier request for the evil spirits. I mean, I'm thinking maybe that's the same thing as if Jesus had just cast them out of the men and sent them wherever they didn't want to go, because once the swine were dead, they had no place to live anymore, so they would still have wound up in the same place. So it's not that Jesus was doing them a favor, letting them live longer, so to speak, or be free longer, but he said, well, fine, I'll be the swine, be in the swine, and the swine run down the hill, and they're killed. All right, so now in 33 it says that they that kept them fled. In other words, the original two guys are like, whoa, okay, something's happened here. So they ran away and went their way to the city and told what happened. Right, they went and told everybody, hey, remember us? We're the two possessed guys. But see, now we're clean, we're free, we're healed, right? Because this guy Jesus came and cast out the evil spirit. And so for people who witnessed that had meaning, because they said, yeah, these crazy guys, right? They hang around the tombs and they scare people coming down the road, right? Well, now they're acting normal, right? So upon doing that, it says in 34, the whole city came out to meet Jesus. It says, and when they saw him, they besought him that he would depart out of their coasts, all right? In other words, leave town. I mean, these people witnessed right? All the swine running down the hill and drowning, right? These were their livestock. So yeah, they weren't happy with him right now. I mean, they weren't saying, "Ooh, that was a cool miracle." They're saying, "You killed our swine, so get out of here." You know, you and your stunts and your miracles and whatever. You know, it's now cost me money. So I don't want to see any more of those that cost me money. So they told him to leave, and so that's what he did. But yet he demonstrated, of course, what his power was, and able to have power even over the evil spirits.